Welcome, chess friends. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Gemini 3 Pro for your chess analysis. Gemini 3 Pro was released last week and got rave reviews, among others, for its reasoning capabilities. So here we have a position with a queen on a2, attacking the king on g8 and attacking the knight on a5. And what I'm looking for is for a program that can describe the position and basically tell me what is going on, what the threats of the opponent are, and then how both sides should continue. So my prompt is: black is to move. Please describe the most important characteristics of this position, including any threats by the opponent. Black's king is in check. What is the best way for black to respond? Support your analysis with concrete variations and evaluations. Then Gemini 3 Pro comes back and says black is not in check because the bishop on e5 is not attacking the king on g8. So I corrected my prompt, says, but the queen on a2 is checking the king. And then the large language model comes back and says, okay, I made a mistake. The best move is king h8, which is an illegal move. So this sounds all very bad. So I was thinking, like, which prompt strategy could we use to get a proper response from a large language model? So I modify it slightly, and I fed the large language model like a very small analysis tree. So some variations, not too many, right? And I asked then the same question. Black is to move, the queen on a2 is checking the king. What are the most important characteristics? So this was also something I suggested in my video to ChessBase last week, who are using ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is not creating any good chess analysis. And I said, perhaps ChessBase can create an infrastructure around ChatGPT and feed it an analysis tree, and then have ChatGPT come up with a description of the position and strategies. So see what happens. And I think it's an amazing hack, right? And I only gave variations, no verbal annotations, just a few Stockfish evaluations. Important characteristics of the position: the double check. The queen on a2 is checking the black king on g8. However, the queen is simultaneously eyeing the undefended black knight on a5, the vulnerable white king. While white is attacking, their own king on g1 is surprisingly fragile. The tactical defense: black cannot defend the knight directly. The defense relies entirely on a counter threat. If white gets too greedy, black can launch a mating attack. The wrong ways to respond: moving the king, passive blocking. The best way to respond: the only move that saved the game is queen e6. Why queen e6 is the best move? It centralizes the queen and it creates a trap. If white plays queen takes a5, thinking they won a piece, black responds with queen g4, and then after king f2, the rook joins the attack. The correct result: because taking the knight loses, white is forced to trade queens instead. So I think this is an amazing change. And I'd like to ask you, right? You can say, of course, when you feed it a small analysis tree, it defeats the purpose. But I think this description can be very useful for club players who have a position and say, okay, I can spit out variations with Stockfish, but I need a verbal description, a narrative about what is actually going on. And I think there are many good points, right? So like the double attack, that the knight on a5 is undefended. Suddenly, the counter attack as a way of defense, the theme of queen g4, rook d2, the fragile king, all elements that I have not given to this large language model suddenly come alive. So I think this is the way to have a correct prompt. This is the way to use large language models, and Gemini 3 Pro specifically. And I'm excited about it And I'm going to show you now a more positional example, because this was, of course, very tactical. But this is the main takeaway of this video is you have to support the large language model with some information and then have it somehow summarize it at a higher level. So let's go to this position. And this is from step 4. So again, let's see what's going on, right? White is to move. And this is all about black's threat, right? So in this variation, in this position, black threatens knight e5, adding an attacker on the knight on f3. And if I explain this position to my students, I say, okay, there is a pin of the bishop on g4 to the queen on d1. There's a pin of the queen on f6 to the pawn on f2. And there's also, you could say, like tension around d4 with the bishop on b2 being undefended, but at the same time, there's a discovered attack. So it's like a lot of tension around this diagonal. And then I asked them, if black were to play, what would they do and how do you defend against it? So if we start with the original prompt, right, white is to move, please describe the most important characteristics, including any threats by the opponent. What is the best way for white to react to black's threat, right? So we don't lead large language model. It comes back with, okay, the knight on f3 is pinned. We have a very strong knight on e4 as black, pressure on d4, all good. The opponent's threats, right? Bishop takes f3, tactical overload on d4, but not knight e5 by black. So it's, and then it suggests to play knight takes c6. And then, of course, I gave additional information, just like I did in the last one, said black threatens knight e5. And I asked Gemini 3 Pro, how can I improve my prompt so you would have suggested knight e5 instead of knight takes d4? Okay, it comes up with some suggestions. I use those suggestions, and then it comes up with knight takes e6. So again, you could say the chess analysis is bad because knight takes e6 is losing because of queen takes f2. So it's not a defense against knight e5. And white has to find a different defense. So now see what happens, right? And I want to show you how little information I was feeding to Gemini 3 Pro. So this is only 3 lines, right? h3, which is the best move. Knight takes c6. It's like a temptation that most students are looking at as the first candidate move. And then I inserted also, you can see a null move. So I passed the move to black and I showed what the threat was with knight e5 and how black is winning in that case, right? So you can see with asking just questions, you can see there's no value, right? So now we go to this mini analysis tree with only 3 minor lines, and I ask the same questions. Then it comes up with the key characteristics and threats. The primary threat is knight e5. This piles a second attacker on the pinned f3 knight. After the exchanges, black ends up winning the b2 bishop with queen takes b2. So, right, why the natural move fails. It's crucial to understand why white cannot simply relieve the tension by taking the knight on c6, right? If white plays knight takes c6, black ignores the knight and plays queen takes b2. The best way to react. To survive this position, white must address the pin immediately before black can execute the knight e5 plan. Best move h3. Step 1. Put the question to the bishop, break the pin and stabilize. Summary, white must play h3 to challenge the bishop. Playing passively allows knight e5 and playing knight takes c6 loses to queen takes b2. So I think this is, like say, quite a good summary, right? And if you see at what I was feeding into this large language model, I think it's minimal, right? It's were like 3 minimal, and so there was no verbal text. It was just the best line, the line that most humans would play, and the null move, like you pass the move to the opponent. And then you get this explanation. And I'm curious, and I would like to ask you, can you comment on the video and let me know if you think this is defeating the purpose because you have to feed this information, or whether this explanation actually adds color for you and is very useful in understanding exactly what's going on. So finally, as a bonus, right, would you like me to explain the positional risk of taking G4, right? So if you just move on to the final position, right, so we get to this position, and so white is playing H3 and G4, and a lot of club players are concerned about the weakening of the king. And so would you like me to explain the positional risk of playing G4 in front of the king, or are you comfortable with that trade-off? So I recorded a video on this. So I asked the large language model, please explain the positional risk of playing G4 in front of the king using the transcript of the video, right? And I think this is based on the transcript. Here were the specific positional risk and downside explained in the video. Weakening of specific squares, the holes. The primary positional risk is by pushing the pawn to G4, you lose control over the squares immediately behind and adjacent to it. Weak squares, F4 and H4, loss of control, creating a hook for counterplay, violating general principles. Why the video argues the risk is justified. Statistical safety. Right? The author analyzed 220,000 games with this exact structure and found that not once was white checkmated because of the weakened pawn structure. Concrete benefits, unpinning the knight, space advantage, attacking potential. So I think, right, so this is a second way to use this large language model, is to subtract information from a transcript in a video. And I think this is adding a lot of additional color to the whole analysis so far. So in my video, in the ChessBase review of ChatGPT, I suggested that ChessBase creates some kind of infrastructure to guide the large language model. You can see that even the strongest large language model at the moment cannot play chess. And it's kind of useful if you don't steer it. And I showed you a prompt strategy by including some minimal information, the best move, the move that a human would consider, the null move, passing the move to the opponent, and how much color suddenly the large language model is providing. So I'm very excited about this. I'm going to use it also to support the development of my courses and for so I think it's very beneficial because sometimes in my explanations I could take shortcuts, and I think this is a very good explanation in detail. And I hope you like it too, and let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching.